voluntary, and you wouldn't be able to get out on parole because she's in a fight. So did everybody just look the other way in this particular instance, or did they never really find out?
So what you were referring to is the last 6 months I was in prison. I made parole, but I had to go to this program. It's a drug treatment program at a minimum security prison. And the first thing they do when you walk in the door is they give you a slip of paper that says what day you're going to leave prison. So I walk in on May 18th, and I have a slip of paper in my hand. It says on November 16th, you walk out of prison. So you're like a milk carton. You're going to expire, right? And the next thing they do, because that does something to a guy. I mean, I was in prison for life, and they give you a piece of paper saying, hey, in 6 months you're walking out. The next thing they do is they give you a list of all the rules. And the first rule on that list is no fight.
Right.
If you fight at that facility, you're going back to finish your entire sentence.
Right.
No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. And the problem with that is, I get what they're doing because they want to try to detox you from prison. Prison's very toxic, especially maximum security prison. So they want to detox you from prison from being in that mode that every problem you have, you handle with your fist or a weapon, because you can't do that in the real world. You can't go around beating people, killing people.
Yeah.
But one of the first things they do, and they take away fighting from you, they change the dynamic of prison. See, the glue that holds prison together is violence and the threat of violence. You know, so whenever you're in a prison, you have a lot of respect for the people around you. You don't steal from the people around you. You don't bump into people. You don't do things that would be considered disrespectful because, it could cost you your life. At the minimum, it's going to cost you a fight, you know. And so that's, when that was taken off the table, when violence was going, it was the hardest 6 months I ever did, Andy. I mean, it was so hard because now you've got little bitty guys that have been picked on the entire time, that the system has devoured, the carrots kind of thing. They're coming up and bumping into you, spitting on you, cussing you out all the time, and you just got to take it, man. So, but that fight that I got into in maximum security prison, listen, man, if the guards aren't around, they don't want to be involved. And so all you've got to do is whenever you want to fight, you just pick a time when there's going to be no guards. Pick a place where there's no cameras in the showers. There's no cameras in the showers. If someone says, hey, I want to look at you in the shower in a maximum security prison, nothing gay about that. You're going to box because the blood cleans up out of the shower real easy. No guards, no cameras, man.
Gotcha. So that's okay. All right. I wanted to know. I didn't need to know, but I wanted to know. All right, dude. Again, your name's not going to be on the list, so it's a little boring. Like a lot of the people that ain't on the list out there, they just tears them up. But the names that are going to be called are fired up about this part of the phone call. So y'all know that Damon West is going to get to hear your name too. All right, Mickey, tell them what's for.
All right. Good morning, Alliance family.
Make sure you're talking into this because that's where most of them hear it. All right.
Good morning, Alliance family. This week, we're going to start off with annuity sales issued paid. Coming in at number 10, we got Thomas Pareto with $32,883.37. Coming in at number 9, we got Dr. Phil Abear with $32,883.39.
Okay.
We're coming in at number 8, we have Annette Air with $34,229.95. That's right. That's good. Number 7, we have Jerry Gonzalez coming in with $43,533.07. Good morning, Alliance family. Once again, I'd like to introduce the man of the hour, a mentor for me, very important person, visionary, really showed me how to grow financially, and he's been a great friend as well, Andy Albright.
Thank you, Mickey. I keep this. I like to look at the people that are kicking butt and taking names. I just like to keep looking at them names. And I like the part that I knew how to say all those names too. It's something about when they start showing up as leaders, you learn how to pronounce their last name. I don't care how you spell it. I remember learning how to say Levantovich. I was like bacon and lettuce sandwich. That's all I had to remember. Bacon and lettuce sandwich. And then it was Levantovich. Well, guys, if you're looking at the screen, you already know, and hopefully you read the announcement, we have Damon West on our call today, and we have a deal at our office, Damon, that every month you read a book. And so this past month, your book was the chosen book for all the staff. And by the way, if they read a book, finish it, want to pick up another book, the books are free for corporate staff. So we got thousands of agents across the country that obviously they buy their own books. They either get them from us because we bought a ton and inventory them, or they just get them straight off of wherever you get them, Amazon or wherever. But we gave every employee one of your books and they read it. So we got some of them that got some. What we usually do each month is we have a meeting and say who got something out of it. Was it your favorite book ever? Was it your worst book ever? We get kind of a feedback if anybody feels strong emotionally either way, or things they got out of it. So it's a fun time because we introduce all the new staff, and this thing's been going on how many years? We've been 10 years doing that. So, because what we believe, is you can come as you are. We liked you good enough to start paying you and hire you, but you can't stay there. Right. You got to change. You got to grow. You got to be somebody different next month. Or we ain't going to, you can stay, but we're going to quit paying, sort of a thing, and not many people stay after we quit paying. So we say you just got to change. You got to grow. Growth is not optional. And so, you kind of get a feel for us now. It's salespeople all over the country. They'll be coming in from Hawaii, Alaska, all over Florida. I mean, just all over the country. New York. We'll have salespeople coming into our national convention. We will be recognizing them and giving them awards from all of 2019. How did they do? Number one in these leaders that you heard. Number one in annuity sales. Number one in Index Universal Life. And it's a recharge for next year. 2020, we got a vision for 2020 that it's the year of the fanaticals. People that you hear numbers, these are actually huge numbers. When Junior knocks out 12,500 in a week, not a bad week. I predict numbers next year is going to blow your mind in the 20,000 plus. And Junior's one of them that he's talked about writing 20,000 a week. Debbie there's several people that have said, yeah, I'm going to start working next year more. Because a lot of these guys have worked 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and they're going to start working 4 if they have to hit these crazy numbers. So what I'm recommending everybody do is go ahead and get in the mode. Start booking 20 appointments a week, 25 appointments a week if you're not necessarily that great, 30 appointments if you want to get crazy, and print that extra money, make a difference with it. Invest in staff, invest in travel, invest in leads for other people to jumpstart them. I just predict a crazy year. And my wife was reading this book. I think she came across, she's a big John Gordon fan, and she came across the Coffee Bean book. I don't have that one in here, but the John Gordon's Coffee Bean book, which was a story by Damon West. So she ordered that, read it, just buzzed through that, loved it, and then said, what else can I find out about Damon West? And she got this book. And Jane don't get involved in booking speakers, very often at all. But when she does, I listen because she's got really, really a good sense, a good feel for people and what we're looking for. And she knows what I'm looking for. I think I told you the last one she recommended was Andy Andrews, who was just unbelievable. And we had met him 20 no, more than 20, like 25 years ago when we were part of Amway, and I was like, nuh-uh, I'm not getting him in. and she was like, no, he's unbelievable. And then he came in, he just was, he did like some of us. He changed in 25 years. He probably wouldn't have been impressed with me in 25 years. He probably wouldn't have come spoke to me 25 years ago either. He wouldn't want to talk to me. So when Jane said, I have booked Damon West, what do you think? I was like, I'm in. I'm thrilled. And then she had one more request. She said, if he would be willing or would be interested, would you, she is asking me, would you fly in his wife and his stepdaughter? And so then I asked Damon that, and he said, oh man, you won't believe it. We were talking about it. So, I mean, I hope it works out that they do. He was saying, yeah, we've been talking about traveling more together. So he said he would love it, and so hopefully we'll get to see them. I don't know we get to see them because we know they'll be in the audience, but we'll try to get them up on stage and see how that goes. But we're excited about you coming in. Everybody's reading your story, and I mean, I know I am kind of curious. You know, like if we've read your complete book, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to tell your story? Like, how's that work?
So, a few things. First of all, I think it's great that y'all read a book a month. Leaders are readers. You hear that all the time. And, growing takes place outside your comfort zone. So, I mean, that's growth. And I tell people all the time, you got to work out 3 areas every day, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And that mental part of working out every day is what are you feeding yourself mentally? And you've got to feed yourself the right stuff to grow. We are what we eat. That's not just about food. That's about everything you put into your body, spiritually, mentally, or physically. And so these are some of the things I talk about in the first presentation. And I'll share stories about stuff that's happened in my life since that book, stuff that's going on. I'm writing another book right now, Andy. It's called Position Determines Perspective. Wherever you go and wherever you've been determines on how you see the world. So, in Position Determines Perspective, I'm sharing a lot of these different stories that aren't in the change yet. Stuff I picked up along the way. Some stuff from guys like Dabo Swinney or Nick Saban that I've learned. Being around all these other leaders, servant leaders. Guys that have started their own companies and taken off. Like the guy that was the chairman and the founder of Jason's Deli. Do you have Jason's Deli out there?
Yes, we do.
Deli?
We do.
The guy's a great guy. His name's Joe Torres. He just passed away in August. Joe was 70. He died of cancer. But Joe was a tremendous servant leader, and he never measured his success by his business acumen or his accumulation of wealth. He measured his success by how much he could put back in the stream of life every day. And that was his only real measurement. I mean, this guy had all the money to do anything he wanted to with that, planes, all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's the owner of Jason's Deli, right? And they've got 300 stores and 12,000 employees. But this guy, you could find him every Monday night inside of a maximum security prison about 2 miles away from where I live. The same prison where I did my time and the same prison where I got to know Joe Torres. The guy loved being inside a prison, hanging out with people that were marginalized, people that society didn't want anymore because he truly lived out that gospel, Matthew 25:36. When I was in prison, he visited me. So I share stories about that. And I'll talk more about stuff that's not in my book, but about the lessons I learned in life along the way. Because here's the deal. If I could come out of the situation I came out of, a maximum security penitentiary in the state of Texas, arguably one of the hardest places on the planet to thrive in, if I could thrive in that environment, you can thrive in yours. There's no excuses. There's no doubt. And so that's one of the things I want to share with your group in January. Also I wanted to ask you, Andy, so this is really cool. You do a book a month. How many of the authors of the books have you got to pull onto a call like this?
Not many.
Yeah, that's really a cool concept. It's kind of, and the reason why it rings relevant right now, Andy, is this a phone call I got last night. So when I was at UCLA speaking to the Bruins in September, the UCLA football team, Chip Kelly came up to me afterward. He said, "Hey man, I need to talk to you, Damon." So he came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Hey, listen," he said, "since I've been out in Hollywood, I've gotten into the movie business a little bit. He's coaching at UCLA. He said he's got all these movie, television producers and film producers that went to UCLA Film School. They always want sideline passes and stuff like that. He said, your life, your story, your book is a movie." And he said, "We just got to get it in front of the right people." And he said, "Sign up with my production company. He's got his own production company called No Huddle Productions, right? Perfect for Chip Kelly. And so, and I called my agent in Manhattan, and we did. We signed up with Chip. And, I mean, just in a few short months, he's got this thing put together. Lionsgate Film was on board. Eric Tannenbaum, who produced 2.5 Men for 9 years, he's at Lionsgate now. Left CBS, he's at Lionsgate. So he's on board. But I just got a call last night, and I can't say who the A-list actor is. But this guy is very interested in the change agent, making it into a movie. He's got his own screenwriter that works with him on all his big projects. But they want to do a conference call, Andy, because they're like, hey, this is a rare deal that the author of this book is sitting here and we can talk to him. And it really brought it home whenever you were talking about having an author on with the books, because who better to sell myself or to tell my story than me, right? I mean, you can read what I put down on those pages, but I'm here in the flesh to talk to you today, and I'll be there in the flesh to talk to you in January. So I'm looking forward to that. And I wanted to tell you, hey, I talked to Kendall, and they're going to come, and I'll get them on that stage, Andy. I don't know how much they'll say, but I'll get them on that stage. Kendall's kind of an introvert, man, so we'll see. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man. Jane, I told her, I said, Jane has pushed too hard to get y'all in that door, so it'll happen. We're all good to go on that.
So Jane wanted to get them on stage, and I said, well, let's ask. And so Damon was like, let's check with them. I will tell you this: we have a knack for finding people. Well, I don't know if we find them before they're famous or after they speak for us, they become insanely famous, like an incredible movie coming out for you. Same with no kidding, John Maxwell. 20 years ago, I had him in 2 or 3 times. Now you can't hardly touch him. Oh, wow. He's so famous. And I had him in 2 or 3 times, and I was like, this guy's awesome. And then and then he's blown up like you would not believe. Same thing with, really John Gordon. Yeah. I mean, John was kind of hardly anybody knew who he was. Now you can't hardly look at a football coach without seeing his book on a desk. Gardner, what's his name? Gardner from Pursuit of Happiness. David, the movie Pursuit of Happiness before everybody knew. So Jane was like, he's going to be massive. Talking about you, she said he's going to be massive. I mean, and we believe it. Well, you already are, but I'm saying your popularity, and you ain't gonna be able to walk down the street, man.
Oh, man, I doubt that, man. Say, I live in a little small town here in Texas called Nederland, and nothing exciting ever happens in Nederland unless there's like a big hurricane, like Harvey or something like that, which is right here. Or just last week, man, they had this chemical plant that exploded in Port Neches. The next town, did anybody see that on the news?
Yeah, I heard about it.
The chemical plant in Texas blew up. We had to evacuate our house. We lived within 4 miles of it. They have a blast zone that was 4 miles from this refinery, this chemical plant. So yeah, I live in a little small town in Texas, man. Nothing much happens out here. So all that famous stuff, man, I don't know. We'll see if all that stuff happens, if it comes true. That's in God's hands, Andy. We'll see what happens.
I can't. I'm trying to I'd like to get a lay of the land. Can you see that there's like 50 people in my office, or does it look just like me?
A lot of people. All right, so I'm getting. I'm seeing about. All right, so there's a guy in a hoodie in the second chair over. That's
okay, yeah. Raise your hand with a hoodie.
Woman in a red shirt.
Yeah, okay. All right. So you get the idea. So it's there. It's more. But I just wasn't sure what you're seeing. I want to make sure. So these are people from different parts, maybe visiting from different parts of the country. A lot of them are staff. This guy right here, Kevin Rivera, is brand new. Just passed his license. He's 23 years old. Kevin, 23 years old. Raise your hand, Kevin, so he knows who you are. So I do want people a little bit more about the story. So this guy, I'll let you tell it. Kind of just give a high altitude your story. I mean, because everybody hadn't read it, and I don't think you're giving. I think they're still going to buy the book. Matter of fact, I know they're going to buy the book when you tell them a little bit about your story. Just what happened? What had happened?
So I mean, I guess where to start a story. I mean, we can start at the beginning. I mean, if you read the book, though, you'll see that it's not a linear book. I wrote the book kind of like the books I enjoyed reading when I was in prison, the ones that are non-linear, the ones that go back and forth. Maybe it's because I'm ADHD, and it's great to be able to switch channels like that.
Maybe that's why I liked it so much.
The way the book played out is the way I think, man. I don't really think linear. So, but I mean, you know, a good place to start out, you know, we'll start from the beginning, man. I grew up down here in Fort Harker, Texas, right down the road. And, my dad was a sports writer for 50 years, man. I mean, he was a real big sports writer down here. And, you know, I had a great life. But I got into substance abuse at an early age. I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of it, Andy. So,
I get you.
Got into substance abuse at an early age. Was a star football player here in my area, star quarterback. Got a football scholarship to play ball at University of North Texas. Played Division I college football. Ended up getting hurt in my redshirt sophomore year against Texas A&M. Moved off to Washington, D.C., get a job working in Congress after I graduated college. Worked for a guy running for president in 2004. Raising money for him all over the country. I've always been attracted to jobs where sales type jobs. I mean, and you'll know from meeting me and listening to me that, I mean, this is where I belong. I mean, I belong in the area because, I mean, what I'm doing now with what I've built for myself as a brand, I'm selling myself. And each one of y'all is a brand too. You're selling yourself everywhere you go. But even back then, you know, being a broker for UBS, one of the biggest banks in the world, that was a job where I could get out there and do sales. But I got introduced to meth when I was working at a job in 2004 by another broker. And meth was a game changer, y'all. I mean, I'd been doing drugs for years, cocaine, ecstasy pills, drinking. But meth was a game changer. I mean, it literally grabbed me. And so, you know, I'm trying to do it to where we don't tell the entire thing. But so I got off the meth so bad that got into doing a bunch of burglaries. And that lasted about 3 years. And on July 30th, 2008, I was arrested by a Dallas SWAT team. And, you know, almost a year later, I went to trial on May 18th, 2009. And a jury of my peers in Dallas, Texas, had listened to testimony for 6 days. And 6 days is a long criminal trial for anything, for crimes that are non-aggravated, especially no one was ever hurt in the commission of my crimes. No one was ever home. I mean, we were just about a dozen meth addicts. We didn't want to run into anybody. We just wanted to steal their stuff and sell it for meth, right? I mean, we're drug addicts. So, but a jury listened to all that evidence for 6 days. And when they deliberated on my sentence, they deliberated for a whole 10 minutes. I don't know how much Law and Order y'all watch, but if a jury's gone 10 minutes, they smoked you. And when they came back in 10 minutes, my lawyer, when I walked in the courtroom, she was telling me, and you can see this is the first chapter of the book. It's called Rock Bottom. Starts off on May 18th, 2009. Karen Lambert, one of my I had two attorneys. She tells me, she said, hey, it's going to be bad. You need to brace yourself. And she said, while you were gone for those 10 minutes, they sent a note into the judge and wanted to know if they could give you life without parole. Life without parole, man. These are not capital offenses, man. These are property crimes committed on meth, right? So I braced myself, but I never could have been ready for the impact of what was about to happen, because when that judge told me I was sentenced to 65 years, which is life, man, it took my breath away. And it took my parents' breath away, too. They were in the front row of the courtroom. And that was my rock bottom moment. I'm an addict, y'all. I'm an addict. And the numbers say that 1 out of every 10 of us is an addict out there. But I'm an addict. But today I have a program of recovery. And a program of recovery gives me tools with which to live a normal life and, you know, work through my addiction and work through my thoughts in the process of the obsessions that addicts have. And I went on an odyssey to a maximum security prison in the state of Texas. And I got some advice before I left county jail from this older African-American guy named, you know, I call him Mr. Jackson for the sake of the story. And Mr. Jackson had told me to prepare myself for prison. And he said, you know, first thing you need to know, he said, prison's all about race. He said, that's the way every inmate in there wants it, and that's the way the institution is. So he said, because it's all about race, he said, you're going to fight all the white gangs when you walk in the door. The Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Circle, the White Knights, the Woods. He said, you'll fight all these white gangs first. He said, and after that, then you'll fight the black gangs, because they're coming after you too. And if you survive the white gangs, you're going to the black gangs. Crips and Bloods and Gangster Disciples, Mandingo Warriors. He said, you'll fight them all. He said, but if you survive all that, you earn the right to walk alone, you know. And so that's when he gave me the coffee bean analogy. He said, I want you to imagine prison as a pot of boiling water. And anything we put in that pot of boiling water is going to be changed by the heat and the pressure inside that pot. And he said, I'm going to put 3 things in that pot of boiling water and watch how they change: a carrot, an egg, and a coffee bean. And so we went through the progression. He said, what happens to the carrot? Pot of boiling water, wet. And I said, it turns soft. He said, that's right. The carrot goes to prison hard. But prison, the water, changes the carrot, beats it down, turns to soft. He said the carrot got beat, he got robbed, he got raped, and he may have got killed. He said, you don't want to be the carrot. And he said, what about the egg? And a little more confidently, I told him, the egg turns hard, like a hard-boiled egg. He said, it's got that hard outer shell. I said, that's right. He said, that's right. He said, the egg is a hard outer shell, so physically eggs are fine. But inside, they're not okay. He said, that soft, liquid core, their hearts become hardened. He said, if your heart becomes hardened, you're incapable of giving or receiving love. He said, if you're incapable of giving or receiving love, you become institutionalized. And he said, you will not come back as someone your parents recognize because your eggshell will have swastikas tattooed all over it. And he said, what about that coffee bean? And y'all, really, I mean, honestly, I didn't know what happened to a coffee bean in a pot of boiling water. You know, Mr. Jackson kind of laughed at me. He said, you know, for a college boy, you're not too smart. He said, if I put a coffee bean into that pot of boiling water that we call prison, he said, now you got to change the name of the water to coffee. He said, the coffee, the smallest of these three things, had the power to change the entire atmosphere inside that pot. He said, everybody in life puts an energy. And this is something you know in the job that you do every day. Man. Everybody puts that energy, negative or positive. He said, he's explaining what's called the law of attraction. He said, whatever kind of energy you put out, you attract back. He said, so if you want to walk around with a frown on your face and a mean mug all the time, if you want to look hard, he said, you'll really attract that same kind of inmate. You get into a lot of wrecks, a lot of fights. He said, but when you walk around that prison with a smile on your face, and you let those guys know they're not getting you no matter what they do, he said, you will change that prison from the inside out. And he said, the best part about it is the other coffee beans in prison, the other positive inmates, will find you because of your energy. And the last thing Jackson told me before I got on that prison bus was go out there and go be a coffee bean. And so that's my life. That's my story. And the parts about becoming a coffee bean and how I turned it around in prison, that I'm saving for y'all when I see you in January.
Except for the ones that have read it.
That's right.
But
there'll be more stories to it, though.
Oh,
it'll be something. Remind me to tell y'all about the mouse, about how these guys in prison have pet mice. That's one of the lessons in my book, the new book about toxic relationships. How do these guys get these pet mice to follow them around, sit in their pocket, and hang out with them without running away? So remind me to tell you that.
Yeah, nothing about that in the book.
Nope.
Nothing.
The publishers, originally I submitted a manuscript for 450 pages. Now it's down to 342. And they chopped out a bunch of the prison stuff. They said, man, we got to keep people out of prison. You don't want to keep them in there too long. You want to keep the thing moving. It was hard too, Andy, because I mean I wrote this thing and they're sitting there. They won't mess. The whole time I thought somebody was going to say we need to bring a ghostwriter in, but my agents, the literary agents, the publisher, they're all like, man, I don't know where you are and how to write, but you can write, man. They're like, we're not going to mess with it, but we will edit down some of the stuff. So when the editors get a hold of it, they'll make suggestions. Andy, some of their suggestions were to cut out entire chapters of the book. I mean, I lost 3 or 4 chapters just off the top. So that was tough. It was like losing like a child or something. I was really attached to that stuff. But you have to trust the process. And that's with anything in life, right? We got to trust the process. Trust those in front of us.
Yeah, that's what I tell these guys is that's just the way life works. I mean, as in, it's a fight. It's a dog fight, and sometimes the dog got to run. Sometimes it gets cut, and you can cry a little bit, but there's really no point. You might as well go ahead and figure out what we're going to do next.
Absolutely. No, and sometimes retreating back and collecting yourself, that's strategic. I mean, one of the things that I did when I was in prison is I played a lot of chess, and I watched these guys play chess. Now, these are guys that play chess for 12 hours a day, every day for 25, 30 years. There's some really good chess players in there. But, life is a game of chess. You're either playing chess in life or you're playing checkers, one of the two. And I prefer to play chess, Andy.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the crazier it gets, it's like chess on a starship. Enterprise, 3-dimensional. It gets to be crazy. And here's the crazy thing. It's keeping it simple is the most critical part. It's this book keeps it simple in the most complicated world. I know it's chess, but I know it's simple. It's that sweet and sour. It's that yin and the yang. It's the mean and the nice that makes it so awesome.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that too. And I wanted to keep it to where it was palatable for everybody. I mean, and the literary method I used to tell the story, if somebody would have told me how complex it was, I might have thought about that before I wrote it, and it might have messed with my head. But I didn't think about it as a complex literary element. I just thought about, hey, this is the way I like to read stories. I enjoy stories this way. I'm going to write one that way. But the publisher told me that you don't find a lot of stories like that because it's hard to keep all the parts moving in the right direction to keep everybody going, and carry them along. But I think the book comes across doing that. And I got to tell you, I mean, Andy, I was blown away here's the thing. So, and I'm not going to get into a whole lot of religious stuff with y'all, but people ask me all the time, how'd you do it? I mean, I've been out of prison 4 years and 3 weeks now, so they want to know, how'd you do it? How'd you turn it around so fast like that? Look, first of all, it's not me. I mean, that's a God thing, man. God got me out of a life sentence, got me on parole. I made my first parole on a life sentence, which is unheard of. No one ever gets that done. And then all these doors have opened up for me. Andy, I've hit every green light out here possible. And, but the thing about it is that we have free will. We have that thing called free will. And that, just because those doors open up doesn't mean we're always going to walk through them. And God, what I learned about God along the way too, Andy, is that God will give us these talents to do things. I mean, like, take my story, for example. How did a guy like me, and you're going to see me in person, I'm about 5'10", 5'11". We'll go with 5'11". Like 5'11", 5'11", 175, 180 pounds. Holiday season, we'll say 180 pounds. But how did a guy like me not only go into a maximum security prison to survive, but thrive inside that place, and was able to get out on the outside and articulate the things that he saw through the written word and the verbal word? I mean, so how does one person have all that? And that's because I think that God has had his hand on this thing for a long time. I mean, I think that there was a time, right before I got arrested, when I ran out of meth, and I was sitting. I don't even think this is in the book. Actually, it's one of the parts that didn't make it. But I ran out of meth, and anybody that's a meth addict, they're so physically dependent on this drug. It's the worst drug in the world, y'all. I mean, it's instantly hooked. You get instantly hooked on it, and you have to have it. So I ran out of meth, and I was dying, man. I felt like I was dying. I was just exhausted. You can't even pick your head up. You're so tired because your energy is taken from you, because your energy is the meth. And I remember having a conversation, Andy, with whatever I thought God was at that time, because I wouldn't say that I was really a religious guy, or that I even had a belief system at that point that was congruent to that had God in it. But I remember sitting there saying, God, whatever you are, if you're real, I'm done, man. I'm tired. I'm ready to get out of it. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go. And 30 days later, or a month later, when that SWAT team is zip-tying me on the floor of that old apartment, I'm like, hey, that's not what I was talking about, man. I was thinking more along the lines of maybe taking a long nap, waking up in a couple of days. But I mean, so, but one of the things I wanted to tell you about God is that, and that's why I say I don't get off into a bunch of religions. If you read the book, you're going to read a chapter in there where I talk about the difference between religion and spirituality, right? Religion is a man-made concept, in my opinion, the way I look at it. And spirituality is your conscious contact with God. And you can meet a lot of people, for example, that have religion but are not spiritual, and they're not a good character. But rarely will you meet someone that is spiritual and non-religious and not a good character, right? I mean, so you don't have to have one to have the other. So, and that spiritual development that I've had along the way, man, I've just, honestly, Andy, it was just a surrendering to this deal and saying, hey, God, you know what? You got the keys. You're driving this car. I'm just going along with the ride. And I mean, I got to tell you, Andy, I've never heard of another story like mine that has happened this quickly. There's a network of ex-cons out there, Andy, that are professionals. They're doing different things in life. And a lot of them are lawyers. They're going to law school. One of them, my good friend Sean Hopwood, he's probably the most successful of all ex-cons I've ever seen. He got out of prison. He was a bank robber. Got out of prison in 2008. So he went to prison as a bank robber in 1996 on a 12-year sentence out of Nebraska. And while he was there, he gets to the law library and he starts doing these writs and he starts beating people's cases in the Supreme Court. They're called cert writs when you get in the Supreme Court. And so the Solicitor General and one of the Supreme Court justices took notice that this guy in prison keeps beating the U.S. government in these cases. I mean, it's a lawyer's dream to be in front of the Supreme Court once and win, but to do it multiple times, it's inconceivable. No one ever does it, but this guy did from prison. And so the Solicitor General went to meet with him in prison and came up with a plan and said, look, here's the deal. When you get out, we got a plan for you. So when Sean got out in 2008, he had to go get a bachelor's degree. After he got that, he applied to law school at University of Washington. He was accepted with the law school. Then he sat for the bar exam, which is not guaranteed if you're a felon. They're going to let you sit for a bar exam because you have a character fitness requirement on there that if you have a felony, you have to defend that. So what they did, he passed the bar. They allowed him to become a lawyer. And he got all these offers, Andy, from all these white shoe firms on the East Coast, $450,000 a year, that kind of thing. Turned them all down and became a professor of law at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Wow. And Sean is just one example of all these guys. There's a guy, a guy named Stan that's in Baltimore. He's a pediatric endocrinologist. This guy did special time and became a pediatric endocrinologist. I mean, so there's a lot of talent inside of prison, Andy, but the opportunity to go out there and do something with it, that's a whole other thing. But a lot of this is what you surround yourself with, you know, the company you keep. I tell people all the time, especially when I go into schools, man, if you show me who you hang out with, I can tell you who you are, you know. I know who you are, but who you're around, you know. All the people in this room right there, I bet you all have the same thing in common. Y'all are driven. Y'all are self-driven every day to get up and go do something. You know, you're not the kind of people that are going to sit around and wait for it to come to you. But, you know, these people that I'm around, they inspired me to go, oh, you know what, that's doorbell. They could be my parole officer. Hang on one second.
Where's Caitlin? Come back here. If we get to meet his parole officer.
She doesn't want to have the podcast, though. This is Mary. Hey, y'all, give me a few minutes to do this home visit real quick. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah. Take your time.
Yeah.
We'll be here.
Mary, stay here.
You remember that time I was interviewing the guy and his parole officer had to came and he put his dog to set in? Do y'all remember when that happened? Look, she stayed. Mary stayed. Hey, Mary. Hey, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
I want to. Who else do I want to have? Steve Handy. Where are you at? Handy. Come here. Hey, Mary. Hey, chill. Hey, Mary. Hey, Mary. This is so crazy. Is there more than one dog?
That's Mary. She's smart. That's why I put her in the chair. So if she's in the chair, she can just stay there.
That's crazy that she's just staying there.
I like the fact that he did ask the parole officer, would you like to? Are you just sucking up with the state? Or are you a state fan? There's a free shirt or something. Yeah. I talked to Dave Norton last night, the football coach. He said, God, I'm glad this year's over. So many injuries that happened. Everybody calm down. We're going to be fine. If I couldn't hear him, we'd still be talking, but since it was such a... Do what? How do I... See if there's a way to mute him. Ah, perfect. There you go. So we'll do it. Thank you, Chris. I had to ask, though. There's so many lessons that people need to learn. Like you got to ask to get something happen. You with me? It's like becoming a millionaire or getting a Ferrari or winning a trip to Alaska. You got to ask. There's so many people that could still win Alaska if they'd try, if they just go for it. It's what he's saying. Life lessons in life. But you gotta take a chance and go like you gotta lay out. You know what I mean? Like if the ball throws your ball, you got to lay out, reach for it, you know? But I wanted you to tell people, what did you get? I know you had some critical stuff or some stuff you heard.
Yeah. A lot of it, like what I took away was the coffee bean story that he was just talking about. And I highlighted some stuff, but basically the whole story about how a carrot turns soft, egg turns hard on the inside and the outside, but a coffee bean has the power to change its entire environment. And then, like that, I mean, that just spoke to me about...
You like that story. Have you read The Coffee Bean?
I have not.
Well...
So that was the...
You need to read it.
That's the first time I've heard that analogy, and I just thought that it was really powerful because it's talking about how people can either affect or infect the people around them. So it's like, what are you doing on a daily basis? Are you giving positive energy to other people? When people are around you, when people have a conversation with you, do they go away carrying away more positive energy because of their interaction with you, or are you putting out negative energy that's going to carry on with them to the next person? So how are you affecting the people that you're around? Are you infecting them or are you affecting them?
Have you read the whole book?
No, sir, just halfway.
Have you read the whole book? So for the people that are on a conference call across the country, this is the way we do our book review. I would get Steve Handy up, I would get Caitlin up, I get various people up, and what did they highlight? What did they note in the book? Like what did it hit you? And one of the things I want to tell you, Handy, and you, Caitlin, is there's things that I say all the time, and then you'll hear John Maxwell say it, and then you'll read a book like this, and it has the principle. Like on page 143, it talks about misery is in abundance, but time is very precious, rare. Hold on, we got to unmute you. But what we're talking about, Damon, Mary entertained us while you were gone. But what we're talking about is the principles that are so consistent, like you talking about how precious time is, but misery is everywhere, and it's your choice how you use time, it's how you use misery. And just the concepts that just keep coming out from Proverbs, from John Maxwell, that's in your book. But this is what we do. If you wouldn't hear, we get up different individuals and say, what did you highlight? What did you get out of it? And this is Steve Handy. Stephen Handy, he was talking about the coffee bean part. What did you get? What impacted you, Caitlin? This is Caitlin.
So what kind of stood out to me was where it's, you don't have to win all your fights, but you must fight all your fights. And I kind of took it more as like battles. So you have to you don't have to win all your battles, but you have to keep going and keep God first.
Keep God first, keep fighting. So you don't have to win, but you got to fight.
You got to fight, yeah.
What did you get? Why do you have to keep fighting? And speak up so there's people across the country here. So some of them long distance.
So I took it more as like a personal thing to me. I don't really want to get into that part right now, but you just have to keep going, basically.
Wait until you get old.
Yeah.
Wait till your back hurts. And they're coming at you over here. Wait till your feet get wet. Whew. Hey, I want to say something that I really was so impacted from kind of what I would call race relations, or can't we all just get along? I don't know, that I didn't expect to get out of a guy who went to prison and got out of prison. How I don't know if it was meant to be, comes across that way, but I just think it's a great race relations. Like, we're all in the same fight. I don't know if you can comment about that, but it's just something I took away with it, which our organization I feel is a lot like that.
So, in the book, so I grew up, my dad was the first sports writer in this part of Texas, in this part of the South, put black athletes on the front page of the sports page. It was 1971. And that athlete was a guy named Joe Washington, a local running back. Joe went on to play for University of Oklahoma, played for Washington Redskins. But, so my dad broke the color barrier, and he's got a box of hate mail at home to prove that decision was right. And so he showed that hate mail to, my older brother, my younger brother, and I, because he wanted us to know what it was like to take a stand and do the right thing. So, and my mother was a teacher at the time at an all-black school in Beaumont. So my parents were thrust into the civil rights. So they raised us in that vein of tolerance and inclusiveness and not seeing race or anything. And when I got ready to go to prison, my parents had one last visit with me, and my mother made me promise that I would not get stuck into that world of get into one of these Aryan Brotherhood type gangs because I'm scared because I'm the minority in prison. And my mom watches all these prison shows on TV, man. She always has, she always will. So, but she's making me promise that. So I made a promise to him. She's like, you were never raised to see race. And she told me something. She said, anytime you view something through the lens of race, you will get a distorted image of what you're looking at. And that's a lesson in life to always remember. And so when I got to prison, Mr. Jackson had told me prison was all about race. He was right. And that's the way every group in there wants it. All the whites want the whites to stay together. The blacks want the blacks to stay together. The Hispanics want the Hispanics to stay together. The Asian guys usually go off to the Hispanics. They call them chinos when they do that. And so, but you get in there and the racial tension is so high in there. The white gangs came at me first, and then it was the black gangs. And then once I got my independence, I never ever quite fit in with the whites in prison. A lot of the whites. There were some of the whites I got along with just fine, but the gang type guys, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Circle, all those guys, the biggest problem that I had in prison were always from those guys. Even when I get out in the end, you'll get to the end of the book, and there's a letter that I write myself from prison, and I mail it a couple of days before I go home, and it's waiting in the mailbox when I get to my parents' house the day I parole out of prison. And in that letter, there's a sentence in there that says, never forget it was your own people that gave you the toughest time inside that place. And that's a reminder to let me know that anytime I want to look at a certain group and judge an entire group by the actions of a few people, to always remember that someone can look at the actions of a few people that look like me and judge me the same way, right? Because that door swings both ways. So the racial stuff in there, hey, it's hard. It's a hard environment to go. You're going against the grain to do that. But I can do it in there, and that means I can do it out here. And if you get sucked into that thing, I'm not saying any of y'all are on this call, that you view things through the lens of race. But that builds resentment. And man, let me tell you something about resentment. A resentment is poisonous, because hate corrodes the containers contained in. And if you hate someone, usually the other person you hate doesn't care or doesn't know. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't affect them. But it affects you. And it destroys you from the inside. That's when you become like that egg. And I heard someone once say that a resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. That's what a resentment does to us. And race is one of those lines. Look, man, I won't even skirt around this. In America right now, race is a hot button issue because race has always been a hot button issue in America. We're talking about, 200 and something years of recorded history in this country, and race has always been on the forefront, and I believe it always will be. One of the lessons, this isn't on any presentation I ever give, but it's going to be in the book, my new book. A former president, and I won't say who the former president was, but we're at a fundraiser one time, and this former president, somebody was asking him about race relations in America. And he said, if you want to know about how far we have not come with race in America, he said, go to any elementary school cafeteria in the South and watch how the kids eat their food at lunch, right? He said, because kids just want to be around other kids. And that works, preschool, kindergarten, first grade. But eventually they start self-segregating in the cafeterias and the elementary schools in the South. He said, watch that. He said, because that's not something they're picking up in school. That's something they're learning at home. He said, and so what I'm saying is that race is a generational type deal. Generations have to die off before those kind of belief systems die off too. And he says, one of the worst things we've ever done as Americans, is to hyphen. We have hyphenated people. He said African American, Asian American, Caucasian American, Hispanic American. He said other countries don't do that. French don't call you, an African French. They don't call, anybody Hispanic French. They don't do that. Other countries don't put a hyphen in front of somebody, but we do. And that's something we've got to work through as a country. We've got a race problem in this country. In our country, and I'm not saying just, white on black or black on white. I'm saying everybody's got race problems in this country. We've got to work through it. We've got to be those examples to everybody of how to live those lives, because everybody's watching everybody else. And listen, there's a shortage of leaders in this world. People, by design, people are looking to be led. Most people are followers. Y'all know this, man. Y'all are in a company of leaders. That's why they read these names out at the beginning of the meeting. The other call that I was on the other day, you did the same thing, Andy. You call out the leaders, call out the people who are out there earning, man, because you want other people to see that and follow that lead, right? So people in life generally want to be led. And in the absence of good leadership, they will follow a bad leader right off a cliff. It's like a thirsty man in the desert. If he's thirsty enough to see some mirage, he'll drink the sand, and the sand will kill you. So, anyway, I hope that answers your question, Andy.
It does, and I appreciate that. And that's something that our organization is proud of, and you'll see it when you're here. It's everybody. And our promotions are not based on height. You can be 5'10 and a half, 5'11 and succeed with us.
There you go.
You can be really, really white and make it really, really big. You can have my accent, and we got all kinds of accents up in here and colors up in here, and so it's one of the best. It's one of my favorite things about it, which is why I wanted to do it, because I was told you will never be president of Burlington Industries. That was George Henderson was the president. That's the only job I wanted. I didn't want any other job except for the president of Burlington Industries. So I had a textile engineering degree, and they said you'll never get it, not with your accent, not to mention your attitude. And I was like, well, I'm going to get out of here if you ain't going to let me have the job I want. It's the only job I wanted. So I'm proud of that, because you can have your accent and your color and get promoted to board member here.
Absolutely. Speaking of leaders and readers, I've read all about you. I've read your bio, and I've read everything I could about you. In 2006, you became the CEO of Alliance, right?
Yes, sir.
So, Jane gets sick at one point, and you decide that you're never going to be broke again.
That's right.
Do that. You're not going to work for somebody else. You're going to go out there and do it and make your own way. Andy, you're a success story. You're the American dream. And the people that are in your company, you're showing them the path of the American dream. That's what we're supposed to do. What you do, Andy, is servant leadership. Servant leadership is helping other people achieve their goals in life. This is going to be part of the presentation. I'm sorry I'm going to spoil it for you, but it's a big part for me, because servant leadership is so important. Because servant leadership is the most selfless thing, man. But it's the secret to life. Because the secret to life is how much we can do for other people. Because when we are helping other people, that's when things happen for us. And that's where I was going to a while ago with the God thing before my PO came, which God sent the PO, man. I'm happy to be on parole. So, but here's the thing. People ask me all the time, how did you do it? And I tell them all the time, first of all, God did this. I didn't do this. I had a lot of help along the way. But we have that free will. But here's the thing. I think that the things that are happening in my life, the reason why my life has taken off like a rocket ship in 4 years, I don't know of anybody else that's ever come out and self-made themselves a brand, an entrepreneur like this in 4 years out of prison. But I think it's because, Andy, I go out there and I say the same prayer to God every morning. And I learned how to pray when I was in prison. I got in recovery. And I'll tell you my prayer. You can have my prayer if you want. Y'all can use it. I pray to God only for two things only. I don't ask for anything else but these two things. That's it. And I say, God, put in front of me what you need me to do today for you, and let me recognize it when I see it, because I don't want to miss that. And I take off. I get off my knees, I take off to see what the day has to offer, and I start looking for things that God needs me to do. And that is the secret to success. The secret to success is being in the place where God needs you to be and doing His will, because when we're doing that, those doors fly open for you too, man. And that's what you've done. And I read all about you in your Netflix thing. In fact, I want to talk to you privately about the Netflix deal, because that's one of the options I'm exploring with the Hollywood thing. But I think you're a great success story. I think it's divine that we got in touch with each other. Immediately whenever Jane, texted me back, and she emailed me back in August or September, I called John Gordon. I said, hey, man, look, you've spoken to these people before they reference you. He said, do it, man. You're going to love this crowd. Go do this, man. So I just appreciate being a part of it, man, because I think that your positive energy with your people over there, all y'all's positive energy, and my positive energy is going to create more positive energy. And I can't wait.
Well, January 24th, 25th, 26th, what I'm hearing across the country is our leaders are going to have more people at convention that they've ever had. They're still signing up people left and right. I've got people texting me, so you know, crying, like literally, Andy, I'm bawling here listening to him, what I need to do in my life and what I need to change. You're affecting thousands of people on this call. I can't imagine what's going to happen in January when you speak live. So figure out a way. What people don't understand is I as an engineer in Amway, is really where I went to conventions when I had no money, no vacation time, wife didn't want to go, and I just went. I figured out a way to get these events. I did what Proverbs, I spent everything I had multiple times, because one convention didn't do it for me. I'm just telling you, one didn't. It's like a shower. I had to keep going. I had to keep getting this stuff drilled in me. And I'm telling you, this guy right here, Damon West, has one of the best story ways to get this stuff in you. No, I don't want to say get in you. It's in you. He's going to help get it out of you. You got what you need in you. He's going to help get it out of you. Come see him in person. Come shake hands with him. Come take a picture with him. He's going to be here. I'm so excited to have you in here.
Man, I can't wait to be in there. And y'all listen, man, everybody that's called, remember this. But look at this guy. Google me. Google Damon West and see a little bit of my story before I come there. But I'm going to show y'all how to become that coffee bean, because check this out. The power to change anything you're in, any situation you're in, is a two-part deal. First, you have to change your mindset, you know? And in prison, I had to change my mindset. This was a tough one, Andy. I had to change my mindset because everything starts with a thought. So your mindset has to change first. You have to believe something different. It's kind of like I tell everybody all the time about why Dabo Sweeney is so successful. That didn't happen overnight. He created a new culture down there.
Yeah, he did.
Like the culture you're creating there, Andy.
Yes, sir.
He created a new culture where they believe differently.
Yes, sir.
They're over-believers. They're not overachievers. They're over-believers. They believe differently in the country.
Yep.
That's why this group, this team can go out and do the stuff they do, because they have them thinking on a different level. But in prison, I had to change my mindset before I knew any of these people that I'm around now. I had to quit looking at prison as a punishment and start looking at prison as an opportunity to work on myself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and become the best version of Damon West that I could be. But you can't stop at the belief, because then you have to figure out, what are my resources? How am I going to do this? And that's what I'm going to tell y'all when I see y'all in January. I'm going to tell you how to become that coffee bean, how to get over any obstacle, because it's all inside you. You don't know it. Maybe some of you do know it, actually, because y'all become coffee beans already. I can see that a lot of y'all probably are. But I'm going to unlock some doors for you. And that's mainly what I want to do everywhere I go. And Andy, I mean, look, even if it's an elementary school where I'm reading the book, The Coffee Bean, or a junior high or high school or a college football team or a corporation, I'm going in there with the same message, man. The power to change is within every one of y'all. And I'll give you the same advice Mr. Jackson gave me 10 years ago. And go out there and go be a coffee bean.
I love it. Hey, I'm going to give you one of these when you get there, because you just nailed it. It's the coin of success. There's two sides to it. What do I want? How do I get it? What do I want?
There you go.
How do I get it? There's a couple more things on there. I want to say this too, because then I'm going to leave this. If somebody knows, you on page 54, you're having this conversation. You basically, they steal your scholarship for you. I want to hear this. I want to leave. What did you say? I don't want you to tell everybody. I want you to tell me. What did you say to get that coach to change his mind and give you back your scholarship after he swiped it? You said you talked to your daddy or somebody and got some advice, but you don't tell you what you told the man. So that's one thing I want you to tell me when you get here.
I will tell you when I get it. It's funny you picked up on that. Not everybody picks up on that because they're reading the story and they gloss over. But people that read it carefully pick that up and they want to know what did I say to Coach Simon in 96, 97.
You go tell me.
Keep my scholarship.
You go tell me when you get here.
This is a great story, man. And hey, and I'll tell you when I get there. Hey, so when we come out there, we've got to keep Clara in school till I think 1:30 or 2 on that Friday.
Okay.
Before we can fly out.
Okay.
So is that good? I mean, can we get tickets and everything like that? Get it worked out?
I don't know. you just went over my head, bro. You didn't ask me something I can't do. I can't figure out. Missy.
I didn't know how you were gonna do it. I didn't know what we were gonna do. If you're gonna send a private plane to get us, if we're gonna go. Hey, you never know if you don't ask, right?
I love you, Damon West. You're gonna change our life. I cannot wait, man. Thank you for doing this.
I can't wait to hear the answer to my question too.
Y'all give him bread. Yeah.
Thank you for today, Andy. This is really cool, man.
That's great, man.
Much. Hey, every one of y'all, I want to tell y'all something though. Seriously, on a very personal level, thank you for reading my book. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, it's still, to me, it's hard to grasp the idea that people out there can grab my story and read it. And people get in touch with me all over the country and tell me, different things, what the story meant to them. I got to go to a school this week, Andy. We follow each other on social media, so you probably saw this. But the people on this call don't know this. This high school in Kentucky, and it's called Adair County Schools in Kentucky. And it's in Columbia, Kentucky, a little small town. I've never been to Kentucky to speak to a school, but I went Monday. They have made the Change Agent their senior reading book. It's part of the curriculum now in some schools. But this was the first school in America to do it. And it's right up there with To Kill a Mockingbird and all these other books they read. But this teacher came across my story, and he's like, this is the perfect story for people that are seniors in high school because it's someone they can relate to. It's got issues going on that are modern. You're not talking about people that are sword fighting in the 19th century, So, but it was really cool to see the Change Agent like that. And these kids, these young adults, everybody that came up to me and talked to me, the Change Agent meant something different to each and every one of them. And I'm floored to be able to be used in that way. And I want to thank y'all for taking the time to read my book because you don't have to do that. That's a choice. And the consequence of that is that I'm very happy. I'm very grateful that you have. So my attitude of gratitude is toward y'all today. Thank you.
Love you, man. Thank you so much.
Let's do that. See you, Andy.
All right, y'all, get me rolling. All books that are ever sold are never read. John Maxwell told me that. How many it was? It's something like 90% of them are never read. Is that crazy? That's